Hi, this is William from the Headphone Experience, and I'm here tonight with part one of my full review of the Topping A50s headphone amp and the Topping D50s DAC. This is sort of a matched DAC, and like I mentioned, this is part one. I'm doing this a little bit different than I usually do. I'm breaking this review into two parts because as most of you know, I run a small lawn care business, and May is usually my busiest month of the year, and I just haven't had much time to put into this. And I was been trying for like a week to get my notes together on this, and just got kind of overwhelmed. I just had too much information that I was trying to put into one video, so I decided to break this into two. So I'm also sorry it's been about 3 weeks since I've been able to get a video out. Anyway, these were loaned to me by APOS Audio for review, and they currently sell through APOS for $219 for the amp and $249 for the DAC. This amp, we'll start with that. It is a balanced headphone amp and a preamp, both. It has a 6.3 millimeter single-ended headphone output on the front and a 4.4 millimeter balanced headphone output, and it has preamp outputs on the back. I'll give you a closer look at that in a minute. It has two gain settings, 0 decibels of gain and 6 decibels, and it's rated at 3.5 watts per channel into 32 ohms, and that is at less than 1% distortion. So that's some pretty impressive power ratings for such a small amp. The total harmonic distortion is rated at 0.0007%, and the signal to noise ratio is rated at 143 decibels. Once again, these are Topping's ratings. The dynamic range is rated at 144 decibels and the crosstalk at 128 decibels of separation. The case on this is a solid piece of machined aluminum. There's no seams anywhere except for the bottom, so it looks like this is carved out from the bottom, and then the plate goes on, screws onto the bottom, and like I said, no seams anywhere on this. Is pretty heavy for being so small. It's about 4.5 inches square by about 1 inch tall, and weighs in, I think, at about 510 grams, which is a little over a pound. Next, I want to show you the DAC, and this is the Topping D50s DAC. It's a digital to analog converter. It handles PCM signals up to 768 kilohertz and DSD signals up to 512. This uses two ES9038 Sabre DAC chips. It has 4 inputs. That would be USB, coaxial, optical, and Bluetooth. And it has a choice of 7 filters. That would be your digital roll-off filters. It's rated at a total harmonic distortion of 0.0003%, a signal to noise ratio of 122 decibels, and channel crosstalk is rated at 130 decibels of separation. Just like the amp, it's about 4.5 inches square, about 1 inch tall, and weighs just over a pound. And just like the DAC, it is also machined out of a solid piece of aluminum, and everything's put in from the bottom, and then the bottom screws on. I did want to mention that both units do come with a remote control, and with the remote you can control the volume on the amp, and on the DAC you can switch between the inputs, and you can change the filters from the go through the 7 different filters from the remote control. You can also mute the amp with it, I believe. Anyway, I wanted to show you up close what these look like, and try to move up here. On the amp here, first you have your power button, That not only powers the unit on and off, but if you hold it, it turns the amp on. If you give it a quick push, it switches between low gain and high gain. And then if you hold it again, that will turn the amp off. You have your 6.3 millimeter single-ended headphone output, your 4.4 millimeter Pentacon balanced output, and you have your volume control. And on the back, you've got your 2 RCA single-ended inputs and your RCA single-ended outputs and your 5-volt power supply. On the DAC, you have your power button here. It has an OLED screen on it, and it's not plugged in right now, so you can't see that part. But anyway, you have a toggle switch right here. Move in a little bit so you can see that. And if you move it side to side, that goes through your 4 inputs, your USB, coaxial, optical, Bluetooth. And then if you move it up and down, that's your preamp volume control. So if you're using this as just a standalone DAC into an amp, you're going to want to leave it at 0 decibels. But then you can adjust the volume down from there if you're using this as a preamp. Then the power button, if you hold that in, that takes you to your menu. And then you use the toggle switch up and down to go through your menu to scroll through, you know, whatever you want to go to. Then you push it in to click on to whatever setting you want, and then you use the toggle switch side to side to go through like your 7 different digital filters. Then on the rear, you have your output that goes to your amp, your RCA outs. You've got your inputs, which would be your optical and your coaxial and your USB, and then this here is where your Bluetooth antenna screws on. So both of these amps, the same size, they stack real nice. I would recommend keeping the amp on the top if you stack them, because the amp gets a little bit warm. Doesn't get hot, but a little bit. So anyway, like I said earlier, I'm going to divide this review into 2 parts. And tonight I just wanted to show you what these were about. On part 2, which I'll get to in a couple days hopefully, I'm going to get into the sound. And I'm also going to do a comparison, give you some comparisons, because at the same time I had these, I had the iFi, the ZenDAC and ZenDAC, or the ZenDAC and ZenCan stand, the ZenDAC and ZenCan stack. Hard to say, I guess, but anyway. And the Burson Playmate 2, which is an amp DAC combo, and they're all kind of in a similar price, within a couple $100. I guess the Playmate 2 is at about $550, would be the most expensive of the 3. But anyway, I had a chance to compare all 3. I had a chance to run several different headphones through this amp. Had a chance to use the single-ended output and the balanced output, and I tell you right now, I think that the balanced output does sound better. Not only does it have a lot more power, but the sound stage seems to be larger and more layered through the balanced output. So anyway, but I'm gonna when I get into the second part of this, I'll talk about, you know, what I think of the sound and the performance of these units with different headphones, how they match up, and try a couple different comparisons. And I'm hoping I do still have the Topping E30 DAC, and I kind of wanted to compare the 2 DACs because they do have a slightly different sound. So even though the E30 is cheaper, it's a DAC I really like, so I want to compare those a little bit. So I'm going to wrap this up, and hopefully in a couple days I'll get to record the second part of this and dive into the sound of these a little bit and tell you what I think of them. So for now, I'm going to wrap this up. Once again, this is William from the Headphone Experience. If this video has helped you, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and please join us over at the Headphone Experience on Facebook. We're up to about 9,800 members, so hope to see you over there. And once again, thanks for watching my video.